As former President Trump faces mounting legal battles across the U.S., his former lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, is scheduled to testify in front of a grand jury in Georgia tomorrow. They're looking into alleged efforts to influence and overturn the 2020 election results. For more on this, let's bring in Scott MacFarlane. He's following this story from Washington. Scott, good to see you. I know you've been busy. Giuliani talked about the grand jury on his New York City radio show yesterday. What is he saying about this investigation?
Hey, Nikki, the former New York mayor says on his radio show he's not just part of the investigation, but that he's the target of the investigation. And his attorney confirms to CBS News the former mayor is going to be in Georgia tomorrow in Fulton County to speak to that grand jury. It's far from clear if he'll answer all the questions or if he'll invoke privilege to not do so. But it's quite clear this is an accelerating investigation, a rather quickly accelerating investigation. It is now broadening to include not just Mayor Giuliani, the 11th hour informal legal advisor to Donald Trump in the final days of his presidency, but also Senator Lindsey Graham, the Republican senator from South Carolina, who also is being investigated, or whose phone call to the Georgia Secretary of State or election officials is being investigated by this grand jury and by local officials in Georgia. Senator Graham is trying to block the subpoena he's been issued. He's gone to federal court to do so, but so far he has failed. So he'll likely appear, or he'll be scheduled to appear, Nikki, next Tuesday, also in Georgia.
Scott, could the outcome of the Giuliani investigation affect the January 6th investigation?
Everything Donald Trump touches or says could have some impact on the January 6th investigation and prosecutions. Let's be clear with our starting point here. Donald Trump is not a named defendant or accused co-conspirator in any of the 860 plus January 6th prosecutions. But what Donald Trump says and the ongoing fraud claims and denialism about the 2020 elections has impact on the investigation and on those prosecutions. There are a number of defendants who are being held in pretrial jail in their Capitol riot cases because judges deem them to be a danger, and the judges have cited, among other things, the ongoing denialism about the 2020 elections, including in Georgia. But also, all things January 6th have an open end to them. There is still a trajectory we don't know. There are more defendants expected, more charges expected. We don't know the path ahead.
Scott, while we have you, former White House lawyer Eric Hirschman has been subpoenaed for documents and testimony in the DOJ's investigation into January 6th. What more do we know?
We know Politico is reporting that Eric Hirschman, who's become a bit more notorious because of the January 6th Select Committee, more prominent because of those committee hearings and the clips of his depositions from those hearings, is now a part of the January 6th or the election fraud investigation in Washington, D.C. We know there's a grand jury, Nikki, that meets Fridays at the Washington, D.C. federal courthouse on the 3rd floor. And we know that grand jury has been looking into some aspect of the 2020 false electors, election fraud, or efforts to overturn the election. It's believed Eric Hirschman is now part of that investigation or will speak to those investigators. We don't know where that grand jury is headed either, but we do know the case seems to be broadening and it does seem to be accelerating.
Scott, thanks for breaking down these investigations for us.